Welcome to Pure Hustle Podcast. I'm Mike.
And this is Orlando, and we are on episode 47.
Yeah, 47.
47, and the height of garage sale season.
Oh, it's amazing. Is this the height or is this just like the beginning?
Well, I think there's two parts in San Diego. Like right now is the height.
Okay.
And then there's like another season around like September, October.
All right.
It's hit or miss, but I will tell you, it's what's been crazy is, I don't know if you noticed this, because of all the rain, we talked about that. Like all these community sales are like doubling up.
Oh, yeah.
Have you noticed that?
Yep.
Okay, so we'll talk about that a little bit because we're trying to catch up. And so how things been?
Good, man. I mean, I remember I told you one of the things I was looking forward to was going to garage sales finally, right? Because there's been so much rain, so haven't been able to go, and then other things. And
whenever I would go, it's just been like fails, right? And it doesn't feel good when you're kind of banking on
garage sales to be my source of sourcing.
Especially after our last episode.
Yeah, man. It's
done with thrift stores.
Thrift stores, man. So, and especially because,
working full time, there's like lulls in my working, schedule where I can like actually get to thrift stores occasionally and do a little bit more. But then there's times where I'm just, got so much grading to do at home and so much lesson planning to do at home that thrift stores are just not always an option, even if their prices were reasonable, right? So
wait, is that possible?
Well,
I'm just checking.
right.
Just checking.
Some places, some of our listeners are lucky enough to have some local thrift stores that are still working.
Agreed,
out for them.
and there's still deals out there.
Yeah.
We talked about we're done, but we're like 99% done.
Yeah. Well, listen to our last episode if you haven't done that yet. But
yeah, I mean, garage sales have been great. 2 weeks in a row, I've basically filled my entire car up. This week I filled my car up and I was smart enough to lay down my seats, take out everything. I had like a stroller in the back. The week before I forgot to take the stroller out and I ended up buying another stroller while I was out. So I had two strollers in my...
Like to resell or just...
Yeah.
Well, I bought a stroller to resell, and then I had mine in there that was just mine.
Nice.
So, but yeah, I mean, it's been really good. So I'll talk a little bit about some of the stories while I was out and about doing garage sales, and then my hustles and BOLOs all come from garage sales. But man, it's really been good, it's allowed me to be listing a lot more than I have been listing. And I will tell you, as soon as you start listing more, those sales just start coming in.
It's Matrix status.
I have not been able to keep. I mean, I've been able to keep up with, but there's been days where I've been like, I hope nothing sells today because I really don't want to spend all day.
That's
hacking.
a good feeling. That's a good thing, though. I get the feeling.
Good. But yeah, like there's been like 3 days in a row where it's like packing up 6, 7, 8 items, trying to get them to the UPS store, the post office, on time, and it's been intense, but it's felt good.
So I remember, what was it, like 2 months ago? I think we went like 4 episodes in a row. We were like, garage sales are terrible. Garage sales are terrible. And actually, the last one we talked about, you were like, hey, I need to go with you, right? Because I was having these super awesome garage sales, and yours was...
They were terrible, yeah. And it could be disheartening.
And I guess that's just one of those things that maybe to throw out there to you guys, because maybe you're in this place too. Like, I would be lying if I said I was not like discouraged. Like a few weeks ago, I was just feeling discouraged because sourcing wasn't going good. I'd go out and I'd spend 3 or 4 hours sourcing, and it maybe be like, oh,
net $100, and it's like, okay, that's not terrible, but by the time you figure 3 or 4 hours of sourcing plus taking pictures of a few items plus, like, it just wasn't really worth it. But then I'm having a few weeks where it's like really good and it's definitely made up for the past. So I think the key is just being consistent and knowing that there's going to be probably some dry times. Don't get discouraged so quickly.
No, agreed. And it's funny because my garage sales last 2 weeks have been terrible.
Ooh, so it's just switched?
It just switched. And I think it really has to do with which community. So I'm going to ask you, did you go to any local garage sales? Did you go away today?
No, I was local today.
Really?
I was local today, and I probably just beat you to everything if you were in my neighborhood.
Okay. Well, it did take me a little bit to get out of bed this morning.
Yeah.
So what time would you say you got to garage sales today?
The community garage sale in my neighborhood started at like 7 today.
Yeah.
Right. And I was at the first place by like 6:05, 6:10.
Wow. And they were open, like
people were setting.
We're not ready yet.
No, and in fact, I would say it was by the time 7 o'clock hit, my car was almost all the way full. And between 7 and like 9:30 or 9:40, I maybe got like 3 more items.
Okay, so that's where I dropped the ball.
Yeah.
Because this morning I was kind of like, hey, I'm going to get up a little later. These garage sales don't start until 8. And I was kind of tired because I went on a trip, which I'll talk about in a little bit. But You know how it is when you go on a vacation, you need a vacation from the vacation?
Yeah, they're never relaxing. I prefer staying home 99% of the time.
Yeah,
but
well, and that's what happened. I came back and it was like back to normal life, dropping kids back to school, doing laundry, doing da da da, da, and then it's garage sales. And so I got up this morning and I already had this gut feeling like, okay, I'm gonna stay positive. Maybe there's stuff out there. But man, when I got out there, after the first few, I'm like, this is not going well.
yeah, they're the opposite for me today. I'd say there were a few times where I almost felt bad. Like I left that person's house like, man, I got a really good deal.
And your neighborhood, I've been to that one, and it's not good.
No, I've heard that. I've heard it's usually
not your neighborhood, but the garage sales aren't good.
Yeah.
And you scored. See, and that's the thing. You never know. Like, I know I do this thing where I try to check out the neighborhoods if the neighborhood looks like a certain pay scale, right? I hit those, but sometimes you just don't know.
Yep.
Right? Sometimes people, especially in San Diego, I don't know if you agree with this, but people have homes that they've had for like, the last 100 years.
Yeah.
So they look a little run down, but they're worth $1 to $2 million.
Right.
Right. So there's money still there.
Yep.
All right.
What I've kind of noticed with some of these garage sales that are a couple of times a year or every year is it seems like it's a lot of the same people who participate in it.
And you know what each house has.
Right. And so there's a point where there's probably a handful of people who are new to it each time. They're like, oh, I didn't do it last year. Or I didn't do it earlier this year. I'll do it this time. But yeah, it seems like the people who do it every time, it ends up just being junk later as time goes, right? All their good stuff has gone. The first 7 times they've had a yard sale in the last 3 years.
This is the worst. And the worst is when it's not a community garage sale and you put it on your route and then you show up at it and you're like, oh, am I really here? So I get it. Well, good for you. Yeah. I will tell you, it was weird, but I was kind of happy that I didn't find much in the sense that I have so much.
Your inventory reserves are...
My inventory reserves are like, if I had silos, like they're exploding right now. Like nice. I can't catch up with what I have. And then I'm trying to do a ton of retail arbitrage right now. And so my place is a mess again. And then RA, when RA hits, sometimes, and I'll talk about this since we're catching up, my thing was I wanted to catch up on retail arbitrage. And retail arbitrage is one of those things you have to strike when the opportunity is there. It's not like, oh, hey, there's this deal or there's a store closing down or, there's this BOLO. I can wait a few days. It's kind of like you got to drop whatever you're doing and you got to get out there. And so I pretty much shoved all my garage. So I'll tell you what I did this last week. Not this last week, the week before. And I've done a lot. It's been crazy. So, one of the things we're catching up on is that I wanted to do some more retail arbitrage. So I planned a little bit, and I remember I told you I wanted to go on a trip or something, right? Just to get out of town. And what ended up happening is I found out about certain locations that I need to go to. I can only be so specific about it. I went to an undisclosed location. I rented a hotel, and I just ended up sourcing over and over and over and over again. But what happened with all my eBay stuff from the garage sales? Nothing. And I do have a helper, but then my helper has been starting school. Like she's going back to school. And so things haven't been getting listed there either. So eBay's like it's at a halt. I'm still making sales and I'm still listing, but it's like it ebbs and flows. And so I ended up staying at a hotel. I showed up, in the morning and I sourced all day. And then at night, it's one of those where you got to pack things and you got to put it together. And I got to tell you, RA does get exhausting. Like I get why people like the warehouse and wholesale because even though it's tiring, it's I don't know, it's just a little different when you got haul stuff back at home or back into your hotel room, right. Pack it up and then ship it out and do it all over again.
Yeah, I mean that's something I've always kind of thought was like beast mode of you, that you go like literally when you're traveling, you get a hotel room and your hotel room becomes your workspace. You start you're boxing stuff, you're shipping stuff, you're like, that's intense, man.
It was intense, and I was exhausted, but I will tell you, in 2 weeks, like I've tripled the money that I sourced. So definitely it was worth it. The velocity to Amazon is incredible, and so I'm gonna be doing another trip.
Nice. You know what you should do? since I've been, looking at getting a fifth wheel, it's one of those things that I've been looking at is that you've got those like trailers, right? Those like enclosed trailers that are like, you can get them up to like 20 feet or a little more than 20 feet. You should get one of those and you should turn part of it into like a room. And then the other part should be like, so you can just go on the road and then like you could buy stuff and ship and pack and like go to thrift stores and have a whole section for eBay and then just carry it along with you. And it's a traveling office. Do it.
But I don't know if my boys would be okay with that.
Do it.
They also have school. Then I would have to homeschool them. Yeah. Then add another thing on top of it. Oh, that'd be brutal.
But it's just for, I'm not saying like do it.
Just for my road trips?
Just for your road trips, right? Yeah. Like you're going to go away for a weekend. Boom. Hook up the trailer. Go. No, you don't even have to get a hotel. It'll pay for itself.
But you know what? But there's still the luxuries of the hotel. Like I went to the jacuzzi. I didn't have to make my bed. I still had a nice breakfast.
So you're balling is what you're trying to do.
In a way. And it's a paidcation, right? Because I can write that off all on my taxes. So that's the other part of it. I look at it. It cost me $90 a night of the stuff I was sourcing. I only had to make like 3 or 4 sales and I already made that money back. So definitely enjoying the retail arbitrage. It's kind of strange because I've been telling you, like, I hadn't done anything since January, and now I'm back at it. So it's kind of...
I'm proud of you. It's good stuff, man.
Well, thanks. I'm hoping that things go well these next few weeks because I think I'm going to travel some more. So it'll be nice. All right, give me some random stories here. What do you got going? What's been going on with you outside of the updates?
Well, I mean, I've had a lot of... The last couple of weeks of garage selling have been so good. I got a lot of stories, but one that really stands out to me, I was at a garage sale, not this weekend, but the weekend before, and I show up, and I mean, it's a community garage sale, right? So I'm hitting house to house to house, and I pull up to this one, and I see that there's like already a bunch of people there, and I'm looking through this bin, and in this bin are a whole bunch of hats, probably, I don't know, I'd say 30 hats, and some video game stuff at the bottom.
Really?
Right? Just like nothing like great. I could tell just it's like loose CDs from like PlayStation games. So okay, those are going to be worthless.
Like PS2.
Yeah, PS2 games. And then there were some PSP games. And I'm like, okay, like, maybe there's something
and
there.
And some PS2 can make money, but not much.
And then there was a few Game Boy Advance cartridges. So I was like, all right, there's a bunch of stuff in this bin. So I'm looking through it. And I'm talking to the lady and I'm trying to like haggle a price because there's so many hats and I'm trying to move because it's a time game, right? Like you got to get from house to house. So I'm trying to like, okay, do I want to like spend time looking through this bin of hats to find maybe 1 or 2 good hats and see if there's any good games? And so I'm trying to get her a price for the whole bin, which I did. I got a pretty decent price, like $7 for the whole bin. Okay. But as I'm doing this,
$7 for how many hats?
There's like 30 of them.
And the games?
And the games, yeah. And I don't...
That's a sweet deal.
Yeah, and honestly, I started looking through the hats, and I don't think... There's not a lot of money there. I've already sold one of the PSP games and basically made the price of that bin. So anything else that I make off of it's just going to be profit.
Garage sale ROI.
It's crazy.
You just can't beat it.
It's crazy. But as I'm doing that, as I'm going through this bin, this other guy walks up to me, and he's like... He sees I'm talking to the lady, and she like turns around to ask her husband a question. He like leans over to me, and he goes, "You just missed it."
I was like, oh, that's the worst. I was like, why do people do that?
He goes, "I just bought like 8 boxes, big boxes of like 10-cent comics for $4 a box."
Okay, well, I don't know if you missed it. I'm serious.
10-cent, like old comics. Old.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Comics are, and I'm not a comic connoisseur at all, but I will tell you, like, comics are super specific as to what's valuable, and then there's grade, and then there's a whole lot of.
Oh,
things
I'm sure. I mean, I've got.
Yeah,
I've got a whole bunch of baseball cards and football cards right now that would take me probably a year to get through to figure out what they're actually worth, and probably not worth anything. So I understand how that works, but I'm listening to him say that. But it was funny because he goes, "Because I know you're a good picker."
Oh, like, nice. Oh, yeah? There you go.
He's like, yeah, because I've seen you around. I watch you. Wow. I watch you at these places. He's like, I've been watching you. I know you're a good picker.
What is
and I was like, all right, man.
And it wasn't like I've watched you on Pierce podcast.
I don't think so. I'm like
seeing you in the wild.
I'm like 99% sure he just means like he's seen me at other houses before. But if you are a listener and you've seen me on Pierce podcast, hey man, let us know how you did on those comic books. But I tell you what, like I was a little jealous, and then a little bit like at the same time, like, oh man, like.
You've arrived, Mike.
I'm starting to get noticed by the other pickers. You know what I mean? Like, and then complimented that like I know what I'm doing. So that was good. It It was an interesting conversation to say the least. But
off air, I want to chat and figure out who this guy was. I might know him, but it just wow, that's intense.
It was intense. And there's a few people I've recognized here and there. Like I think I've seen that person before. And then like I've run into a couple of our listeners several times, which has been cool. But this one was different. It was just kind of like, oh, you've noticed me, and so now I'm like worried about like, do I gotta like keep my head down when I'm out?
He's gonna wear a hood everywhere he goes. Garage.
I'll be that one.
He'll shave his beard completely.
Yeah, that's never happening.
No, I know. I've never seen Mike without a beard.
My wife has never seen me without a beard. So
really,
yeah,
interesting. Well, here's the thing though, too. It's at least he was nice and courteous. I got to tell you, most resellers we run into in San Diego they're pretty nice. Like there's only one guy that avoids me like the plague. Like anytime I see him like at the Nike store or I see him, at a garage sale, like he acts like I don't exist, which I don't know. I mean, it's obvious that he's a reseller, but we actually talked about him like several episodes ago. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Was he one of the ones that you you called him out at Target?
No, I called him out at the Nike store.
Oh, okay.
He didn't like that very much. So maybe since then he's kind of, harbored this grudge against me. So, wow. But hey, you know what? Do you feel like you missed out though?
Yeah. I mean, I'm glad you make me feel better now knowing that, okay, maybe I didn't miss that much with the comic books, but there's still that feeling of, I mean, he seemed to think he got a good score. So
I mean, I know the price matters. Like, the cheaper, obviously, the older they are.
Old. And I don't know. I didn't even know 10-cent comics were a thing. So maybe that's not like accurate. Maybe they're just like old comics. I don't know. But he's like 4 or 8 or something crazy like that.
But if I would buy, how much did he pay for them?
He said $4 a box.
Okay, so I probably would have bought them too. I just think about the work. I mean, if it's worth it. But I've done it before where I've found like multiple boxes. And I started looking through them, and I'm like, I don't know if it's worth it. Actually, reminds me of a Craigslist hunter video where I think he could have bought like a whole storage unit full of comics for several $1,000s, and he backed out because it was just too much.
Yeah.
Like,
isn't today like comic book day or something?
Yeah, actually, may the 4th be with you.
That was yesterday.
Was it yesterday?
Oh no, that is today.
It's today.
Oh,
because tomorrow's Cinco de Mayo.
Nice.
There's like a holiday every day.
Yeah. I mean, if you're listening to this today, it would be May 4th, but you're listening to this on Wednesday, right?
So but to all our fellow Jedis, may the Force be with you.
May the 4th be with you.
Yes.
Yep.
But it's free comic book.
I should have wore something Star Wars related, huh?
But it wouldn't have made sense when the episode
dropped. Wouldn't have. Well, but we're talking about it, so then it would have made sense.
That is true. But have you noticed that there's like a holiday for every day? I think we need to make a reseller holiday.
Let's do it. National Reseller Day.
National Reseller Day. Well, like all thrift stores cut prices, and you have to have a reseller's permit.
Interesting.
There you go. Let's start the movement.
Yeah. Let's everybody sign a petition. It's sponsored by Pure Hustle Podcast. National Reseller Day. We're gonna make this a thing. Behind us.
But do you get what I'm saying? I feel like there's a holiday for everything.
There really is.
So okay, we should start a card market too. Like Happy National Reseller Day.
Get on the Hallmark train.
There you go. Anyways, all right, I'm taking this too far probably. But anyways, hey, I don't know. If you think Mike mixed out. Wow. Are we gonna edit that?
No,
We're not gonna
missed out.
If you think Mike missed out, let us know in the comments below. I'm interested because I don't think he missed out. But then again, we don't know what we don't know.
It's true.
Yep. Right? So all right, well, good for you. Good for you to be recognized. So now you got to watch your 6 everywhere you go.
I know, right? Like people. Well, I mean, I've already gone to like garage sales that I've already been to the house, and they recognize me like months later, and that's a little weird too. Like, hey, you're the guy that bought the such and such, right? I'm like, yeah, that's me.
But that's a good thing though, because at least they know. Well, it depends. So sometimes you pay up hoping that next time you'll be able to make a deal again. Because sometimes if you like lowball too much, like you're not going to be able to make that second deal. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, especially if later on they regret the sell that they made.
Yeah,
if they're like,
you're that guy. Yeah. So you got to be careful. Wow. Okay.
What about you? Do you got any interesting stories?
So a couple of things. It's been interesting because I've had like an adventure week. So last week I went thrifting with Fernando from Funky Cole Medina's. So he's been reselling for a long time. And it's funny how we connected is because years ago at a community garage sale, I bought inventory from him that he was trying to offload that he got kind of tired and didn't want to list on eBay. And then through the meetup, we got to know each other. And then we go, hey, why don't we go sourcing? So we went to that store. You know I'm talking about, that store.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And it's crazy because like the entire hour or hour and a half that we were there, we never sourced the same item. Even though he does shoes, he does clothing.
Well, that would be impossible for you to source the same item.
No, I get it, but we weren't like fighting for the same item. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He started with shoes, I started with electronics. I found some nice BOLOs stuff. And then he went here and I went there. And it's not like super interesting story, but again, it's one of those things we keep talking about is that everybody has, for the most part, their own niche. Like I never run into a store. I don't think I've ever had a moment like where I'm directly competing with the reseller. I mean, have you had that happen? I mean, we've talked about stories about people grabbing the same box or having awkward moments.
I think that's one of those things where you don't know what you don't know, like you just said earlier, and that is, you might feel like, hey, I was able to leave with some stuff in my cart and they left with stuff in their cart, but had they not been there, you might have gotten 75% of the things that were in their cart, and that would just be more ROI for you. So technically, you might not have been fighting over items, but there would have been more in there for you to get had they not been there.
I agree. The only thing I'll disagree on is that whatever was in his cart, I would have never sourced. And what was in my cart, he goes, oh, I didn't know about that.
Well, then that works out.
So we both learned.
This time. Next time.
Oh, next time. You better watch out, Fernando. No, but it was good. Now, so again, I always say, like, it doesn't hurt to network with other resellers, right? And we talked about this in our last episode where, again, I was able to get inventory from Fernando, right, at a good cost that I was able to make money on without going to the thrift store, and it was already pre-selected, right? And when we went to this thrift store, right, it helped because I was able to pick up on stuff that he was picking up that I had no idea about. And he looked at my stuff and he goes, hey, I didn't know about this. I didn't know about that. So speaking of that, that's another inventory reserve that I have not touched. That was a week and a half ago.
What's that?
All the inventory that I bought. I literally bought, I think, like 60 items.
Eesh.
Well, I have a inventory closet now. So they're not piles. They're just a closet. And as long as the closet closes, I'm good. It's kind of scary.
Got your back stock ready to go.
More than back stock. It's kind of scary, but I just thought about that. I have not looked at those items in a week and a half. So, okay. All right. So let me talk a little bit about my trip to Wisconsin, because you're talking about trying to change how you're living, right? Right. For reselling. We've talked about that before. We're paying a lot in San Diego.
Yeah, San Diego's one of the top.
Said that.
It's one of the most expensive cities in the world, or in the United States to live.
Oh my goodness,
it's in the top something, the top.
So I visited. So I went to go visit friends in Wisconsin that I have not seen in 16 years, and it's one of those where you never miss a beat. It's like you never left, right? And I go to their house, and I'm like, this is really nice. And then they also are buying some real estate to rent. And I'm like, what? Okay, that's really nice. I stay at their place and I literally feel like it's a resort. Like, it's so nice. I mean, they had a basement, and then they had a basement for their basement.
Ooh, the basement.
And the basement wasn't like gross or anything. It looked like a storage unit.
A furnished basement would be my dream.
Well, that's the thing. They had a furnished basement, and then they had the basement, which was, they had shelves that you could put inventory on. And it was larger than my storage unit.
Which you probably pay almost as much for your storage unit as they do for their property.
Well, and that's the crazy thing, is that what they pay for their very nice, huge home, I pay for my 3-bedroom condo. And I'm like, and I remember with Fernando talking about this the week before, that if we can make it reselling in San Diego, we'll make it anywhere.
Yeah.
But I remember, it's funny, I'm there and he goes, hey, let's go tour the neighborhood. So he has a golf cart. I mean, think about it. Like, to have a golf cart, you got to be able to have a little bit more. You know what I'm saying? It's not like a normal thing, like You just roll up somebody's house in your golf cart.
Well, I think part of that too comes from the mindset of where we are. I think living is just so different everywhere you go. Like in Southern California, specifically San Diego, you pay so much for the place you stay, whether you're renting or you're buying a house, that there's almost no money left over for other things. Right?
No, and that's what I'm trying to say.
Whereas, yeah, so for us to have something like that would be like a show of like, whoa, you can afford a place to stay and that, but
it was so wild. So, I'm thinking like, do I want to leave California? Because I'm going around and like everything, like gas was like $2.75. Okay, gas right now is like $3.95 in San Diego.
Yeah, or over $4.
Or over $4 in some places, like obnoxious, right? You go to stores, things are super cheap. I paid for dinner for all three, for me and him and my other friend when we went to dinner. And that would have been alone just my bill at a certain place. And I'm just like, I get it now. I 100% understand why people that go full-time reselling move if they're in California or in New York or some other location.
Yeah.
Because I look at all that and I go, I just, wow, like you really can cut down your costs a lot.
I think the hard thing though, one of the reasons it's so difficult to leave is, man, the weather is just so nice here.
No, I know.
It really
well,
is.
that's
Like,
the
it's the
thing.
kicker. It's the sunshine tax. That's what you're paying for.
People were DMing me and going, yeah, Orlando, you don't know that for like the last 5 months, it was like horrendous snow.
Yeah, you just don't leave your house.
Yeah, you don't leave. And that's what they told me. They said at one point it was like negative 50 degrees with the wind chill.
You know how sometimes you go out to your car and like you start it and it's like a little cold in your car. And so you're like, bummer, man.
Blast that heater.
Right? They have to like go out and shovel their driveway before they can leave the house.
Oh, and you got to scrape your windows and your door might be frozen shut.
Like, can you imagine?
No, I remember I was out there for 5 years.
I've never done it.
Now there's one thing that didn't change. Goodwill prices.
Really?
Yeah. So that's what I really was thrown off. So I went to Salvation Army and they were legit. Salvation Army was nice. And I did notice there was a lot less resellers where I was. Like San Diego, right? Would you say there's ever a moment you walk to a thrift store and you're like, hey, there's no resellers here?
No, there's always resellers.
Always. Like always. So if you come to San Diego and you're thinking about doing a road trip, be warned, there's always a reseller in a store. It could be morning, it could be afternoon, it could be evening. There's always somebody there.
I feel like we need to get business cards and just start handing them out to the resellers we see at thrift stores. Why don't we do that? Okay, check out Heroes Podcast.
Maybe we should. But I noticed like I was in the Salvation Army and literally there was like 4 people in the store with me for like 2 hours. And then of those 4 people, they were only there for like 5-10 minutes, right? Now, I did have people DM me that just said, hey, I went to that store, Orlando, and I already grabbed this and this and this. I'm like, and it was great to hear. It was great to hear from other listeners that are nearby saying, hey, I missed you by 5 minutes. Because my goal wasn't to go out there and go thrifting. It just ended up happening because, like we say, reselling is a lifestyle. So, everybody's asking how you're doing, Orlando, and I'm like talking about reselling like half the time. So, I don't know. It's just things to think about. You're talking about, fifth wheel trailer, and I'm good where I'm at, but it's kind of one of those things like, I wonder what I could do. I wonder, how awesome would it be not to pay for a storage unit, to have a fully furnished basement just for eBay with an office, photography place to do RA. And I'm like, and here, I got to tell you that storage unit bill, it just hit me again. I pay about $300 a month only for one. That's money.
Yeah, that's no joke.
So, it was good. And the other parts of the story was the items I sourced. I don't know. Did you see on Instagram what happened to my items that I sourced?
No.
So I didn't want to take them as a carry-on on Southwest. So I decided to check them in. Yeah, my luggage didn't make it back with me.
Oh, man.
But props to Southwest. That night, they took a report and they said, as soon as we find your stuff, we'll make sure it gets delivered to your door. So in less than 12 hours, somebody was at my door. I checked everything and it was all there.
Nice.
So, and here's what's crazy. I was doing some RA while I was out there too. And I was going to put RA items in that checked luggage. That would have been scary. Because, thrifting, yeah, I would have lost $300, $400 profit. RA, like it would have been a little more. So, anyways, just
You probably wouldn't have been able to fit as much RA in a
no,
check-on.
and I couldn't. I wanted to buy another suitcase, but then the suitcases were too expensive, so I left some stuff behind.
There was no suitcase at a thrift store you could have bought?
There was, but
See?
okay. Here was my dilemma. My dilemma was my flight was at 5-ish. I was trying to do RA at around 2:00 and the airport was 2 hours away. So, and the traffic kept building. So I look at my watch and it's like 2:25, right? And I'm like, and I look at the traffic, and as the day gets later, traffic gets worse and your time goes up on Google Maps. So I'm like, okay, maybe I could squeeze 5 more minutes and then I can make my purchase. Well, then 5 minutes later, I look and like another 30 minutes got added to my commute. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to miss this flight if I don't get out of here. So somebody out there ended up with a nice card of RA that I just left behind. Because I had to go. I had to catch my flight. And here's what happens. I get to the airport and my flight was delayed by an hour.
Just imagine somebody's like starting their Amazon life. And they're like, I need to try this. I don't know if it's right for me. And they walk into a store and there's a cart with all of the greatest things that they could possibly
all sourced.
Be
low ranking, high ROI, all ready to go.
It's just like, oh, you were like an angel for somebody, Orlando.
It's very possible.
You were like the reselling angel to somebody. Or you just made somebody put a bunch of stuff back, in which case
that's true. I did. I literally just left. Like I just put the cart in the middle of the store and just left.
Yeah, I mean, my uncle used to always just put stuff on random, like if he didn't want it, and just always say it's job security. Right? Someone's got to put that back. Job security.
Oh man, I don't even know how I feel about that. Job security. Okay. So anyways, that was our trip. That was my trip. I'm probably going to do a few more trips here coming up soon. And so looking forward to that. And going to go to the undisclosed location too. So we'll see what happens.
Is this undisclosed location something that you're going to tell me off air? Or
I think we will. Yeah, I'll tell you. I'll tell you off air. It just
sounds like you're like going to go to like a government like facility somewhere, an undisclosed location.
Here's what happens with RA. So I've noticed on RA, and those of you that share RA on Instagram, you got to be really careful because people are good. So you can leave like anything. So for instance, somebody had talked about on Instagram, like if you have an Amazon case that's opened and you post like that case on IG, people can use that case. And if they know somebody internally that works at Amazon, they can trace back that store and see all the items that were sourced.
That's intense.
I mean, not saying that happens, but it's out there. Or I've had people, like I sourced some things and I thought I blurred things enough and I might have missed a spot. Somebody blows it up and then they'll DM me like, hey, Orlando, I picked those up too. I'm like, what? How'd you know? And so people know. People have ways. So anyways, that's why.
It's intense. That's crazy.
Anyway.
Hackers out there.
Hackers out there. All right. So you ready for some current topics?
Yeah, I feel like we need to have like a little breaking news sound effect play right when we're going to start like current reselling topics.
We do have sounds now though. We have our sounds before our sponsors.
Yeah, we do.
So if you're wondering how's it sound, it's something like that. So if you hear that, that means I don't know if it's like that.
Not exactly like that.
So hey, thanks for listening to our sponsors. Appreciate it. So it's just so you know, that's a new sound that's being introduced to Pure Hustle Podcast.
Yeah, man. Gonna break up, especially because it could be awkward, and we're in the middle of talking about something, and all of a sudden it's like, sign up for Anchor.
I know. It's like, check out this podcast, and you're like, what? Why are they talking about another podcast?
This doesn't make sense at all. They've lost their mind. Yeah, so trying to break it up a little bit.
All right, but
speaking of which, yeah. if you're, we want to thank you again for spending time watching our YouTube or listening to our podcast. It's really, really good. We really, really appreciate it. I see we've got our iTunes reviews are definitely going up as far as the number of reviews. So if you haven't had a chance, if you're enjoying our content, please go leave a good review. It helps other people find us. It's one of the best ways for other people to find us. Or if you're watching on YouTube, hit the like button, leave a comment, make sure you're subscribed. All of those things help make sure that we can be found by other people, because we don't pay for advertisement. We just want other people to to be able to find us. And so it's all been word of mouth. That's the way people have been finding us. So we really appreciate that.
Subscribing and hitting that thumbs up. It's strange, but it really does matter because the more thumbs up we get. So, for instance, our Mug Life video got 100 likes.
Ooh, ooh.
And so, and if you haven't caught our Mug Life video, if you want to find out the best way to pack a mug, check out our Mug Life video. And then there's a little throwback to Office Space in there if you watch that movie back in the day.
Yeah, and even if you don't want to ship mugs, because there's like a long process of how to do it, which is amazing. I've done it several times now. But just skip towards like the last half of the video, and it's one of the funniest things we've ever done.
It's worth a watch. It was good times. So, hey, if you haven't had a chance, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Hit that bell button to be notified. We have some videos we're going to be working on here in a little bit that we'll be releasing. And if you haven't had a chance yet, follow us on Instagram because we're always dropping knowledge on Instagram or any updates or collaborations or anything that's going on. We are Pure Hustle Podcast on Instagram. We are Pure Hustle Podcast on Facebook. We are Pure Hustle Cast on Twitter. You can give us a call, 619-738-1170. That's 619-738-1170. And people have been calling us, asking us questions. So we'll eventually start playing some of those when we get a chance. And also you can email us at purehustlepodcast@gmail.com. And last of all, we also down below have a PayPal link if you just want to say a quick thank you and let us know that you appreciate the content. We're always grateful because the more that we're able to kind of offset our reselling with little side income, it allows us to create more content, which will always be free.
Always be free. Everything we do for you guys will be free. We never want to charge you because we want you to have more money in your pocket to go out and source items, make a bunch of money, and then share that wealth of information with others.
100%.
Yeah. That's how you stay relevant and real and resell.
Late, and then the episode's over.
Yeah, just like that. Thanks for listening, guys. Just kidding. We've got a lot left.
That would be our shortest episode ever.
I don't know. I feel like we've had some of our first few episodes were pretty short.
We have a 30-minute out there.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm interested. Let us know. Would you prefer 2 1-hour episodes in a week or 1 2-hour episode? I'm interested. Because Mike and I, we've talked about that a little bit. Yeah. Are you okay that we're talking about this right now? Yeah. I'm interested because
we're not doing it for us. We're doing it for the peeps, man. We're doing it for the community. So whatever
peeps.
So for whatever you guys would prefer, if you'd like to have more shorter episodes and maybe a little bit more focused, or if you like these longer form ones, just let us know what you guys like.
Yeah, I'm super interested because remember initially when we started doing the longer ones, everybody's like, "Oh, love the long episodes," right? But now I've heard some people say, "Hey, it'd be awesome if you guys could do like 2 a week." I've heard people say it'd be awesome if you could go daily, which that would be really nice to do, but it takes a lot. So let us know in the comments below. Really appreciate your feedback. Okay. Are you ready? So
current events.
So we got a big deal here. We have the eBay spring seller update.
Woo. That sounds intense.
It does.
Sounds awesome though.
But it wasn't intense.
It's just basic.
Well, okay. So and some of you might disagree. So do you remember weeks ago we had the eBay spring limited seller update?
I think so.
It was like the one where like they said we're going to make offers.
Right. Which has been great, by the way.
Has it been working for you?
Yeah, we've sent offers on quite a few things and gotten a handful of sales on them.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. I can't say the same.
Really?
I will say it's probably one for every 10 offers, I'll get 1 counter offer.
Huh.
I mean, I'm just throwing it out there, but that's pretty much what it is for me. Now, when you say you send offers, at what percentages are you doing? Like, are you dropping it by like, 10%? Are you dropping it by 20%? Like, what's your average?
I don't know. I mean, it just depends on the item. I mean, every item has built-in wiggle room that like we always try and list a little high, but we have in our mind like what we would take. And so we might like go the in-between of what we would take rock bottom and what it's listed, and that might be what we offer. That way, if they do come back a little lower, we've got still some room to maneuver.
Okay. Because I'm trying to figure out, is my problem that I just send offers that are like $10 lower? Because then I'm always hoping for the counter offer. But then I've sent some lowball, like 50% offer stuff I'm just trying to get rid of, and it's like crickets.
Well, I'm sure some of it too is that people watch something and then like forget about it and months go by and then they're not interested in it anymore. Like that's one of those things too. Like I've noticed for me, even just personally, like when it comes like I really need something, I want something, I'm on Amazon. Sometimes I'll just put it in my cart and say like, okay, I'll buy it in like 4 days. And then 4 days goes by and then I look at it in my cart and I'm like, yeah, I don't need this thing, and I take it out, right? So that's like a discipline thing that I've done myself.
That's good.
And so it's possible that like people just get to a point where they haven't had it for so long, they're like, oh, yeah, I don't really want that anymore. So that could be part of the watching thing. I think if somebody's watching something for months and they still want it, they're gonna buy it. Like usually, if you're watching something, it's been that long, you've moved on.
No, I get it. And I will say, part of my issue too is I think you're having the same issue. Is we do have people that follow us on Instagram, some listeners that watch our items. So I can't tell if it's like a legit item or people are like, "Hey, is Orlando really gonna get what he said?" Do you know what I mean? So I don't know, but yeah, I'm thankful for the option. I made some sales. I'm not complaining. I'm so thankful for that. I think that was one of the biggest moves that eBay could have made. So, okay. I think some of you will get the context of what I'm about to say, and hopefully Mike does. So remember when you first started teaching, like you would make PowerPoints, or when you went to a class, what did the not so exciting teachers do with PowerPoints?
Oh, just put like nothing but words on the thing and then read it?
Exactly. So I don't want to do that. Like all of you can read the eBay Spring Seller update, so I just want to hit some highlights.
Yes.
Because, for me to just, all right, we're going to talk about what you need to know, and I just read it, that would be...
Yeah. What we should be doing is we should be critiquing. We should be, here's the highlights, and then now we're going to give our opinion on it. We're an opinion piece.
We're an opinion piece.
Yeah.
All right, so there's some weird things that I'm like, okay, I guess this is an update. So one of them is Good Till Canceled is going to make sure that the listings end up getting relisted on the day that they were listed. Because before, there were some things that were being only relisted after 30 days instead of the 31 days. Okay. Seller update 1.
Cool story.
All right. I don't, it's just some of these were interesting. But I want to add to that. So if you want to know how long it's been since your item's been listed, they did add another option. Now here's what's interesting. If you go to Seller Hub, it's not like something that's there already. You have to click the customize link in your print on your active listings page in Seller Hub. Select start and end date, change your column order if desired, and then you'll get that. So you can find that info, which it's one of those things. Remember that one time, that podcast, I'm like, eBay's being so innovative, and you're like,
that's the wrong use of that word.
Yeah. That's what I feel like. Like, this is kind of like a given. Like some of these things I'm going to talk about are a given. And I think they're important because now that it's in writing, I guess we can hold eBay to it, but they're like common sense things. Okay. But they're, again, I'm just thankful that eBay is moving in the right direction.
Yeah.
So one of the thing is, have you ever had something where you had to cancel a transaction?
What do you mean?
Like cancel, like somebody says, I don't want it anymore.
Oh yeah, all the time.
Okay. What do you do with your item when you cancel it?
Relist it.
Okay, and how do you do that?
I don't remember how I do that. I don't know.
Okay, so you have to go to the item and you relist it.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's like a special way. Like,
well, let me explain.
I just hit the relist button.
Well, now on the button that you click for refund, it now will say refund and relist with fees.
Genius. With fees. Oh, come on. They shouldn't be fees. I like that they're adding that, but there shouldn't be fees.
Okay, but I'm still like, I'm not understanding like why. I don't know. I guess.
Well, because what if
I love you, Devin One Egg. I love eBay. I'm just not understanding why this was an update.
No, it makes sense though. Because think about it this way. You got to you have to imagine. You have to imagine that people who are making decisions have thought about and have had enough complaints, right? Because you remember this as administrator. You probably had teachers come in to you say like, "This is dumb that we do it this way," and they complain about something, and then you have to you have to kind of explain to them like, "Look, I know that this doesn't make sense for the way you do things, but we see a different picture. We get other complaints."
Bigger picture,
right?
Okay.
So the other side of this perspective would be, what if you had to cancel the transaction, right? Or something happened and the item broke, or you couldn't send it. If as soon as you canceled it, it automatically relisted.
No, I get it. And they didn't have that. So you still have the option. Like you have to click on it. So then you can click on the button to relist with fees. You know what I'm saying? Like I used to do it when somebody canceled. When they asked me to cancel it, I would first relist it so I didn't forget to relist it.
Okay.
And then I would cancel it.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, is it a good thing? I think it's a good thing because that's one less thing I have to do.
Right.
it's just one of those things where it's like, I'm just not sure why it took a while. That's all.
Yeah, that could have been there earlier. But again, like you said, it's moving in the right direction. So that's good. It's good. I think that's a good ad. I think it's a good little nice little thing on there. Like
now here's another one that I think is good, and this is for kind of relates with our last episode. Remember we talked about last episode about sourcing from eBay to flip on eBay?
Yeah.
So now you can actually be exempt from sales tax on eBay if you're a reseller, if you're buying to resell.
Huh.
So if you have your reseller's permit, there's a place for you to, I guess, for you to upload, and then you don't have to pay the sales tax on the item.
Nice. Now I got a question for that on the sales tax because I haven't been paying close enough attention because I just haven't been. But I've noticed that they've added only for certain states or certain items, it'll add the sales tax to it, right? Is that extra money being added to PayPal and then now I'm responsible for paying that taxes, or are they paying the taxes on their end and I don't have to?
I believe they're taking care of it.
Okay. I just didn't know if that added amount that they collect ends up coming into our PayPal and then now we're just responsible for realizing that like, hey, we collected the tax for you. Now you have to pay that tax.
Well, you know what? The easiest way to figure out is just look at your PayPal and see if you actually got that money.
I mean, I know I probably could have done that. I just thought about that the other day when I looked at it. I'm like, I wonder if that's going in mine and I have to do it. And I just never looked.
It cracks me up. Here, I do have an offer. Anyways, I needed to share an offer on a Furby.
Furby?
Okay. I don't know.
Do you remember when everybody was like panicked that Furbies were like being used to spy on us?
No, I believe it though. Here's somebody, we were just talking about that when I was in Wisconsin because at their house they have like 3 Alexa. Right? And we could just be talking about something. And then I'll never forget talking with one of my friends and she was letting me know about her blog. And I went to Google something and I typed in like the 3 letters related to her username, but I wasn't looking for her. And then her name popped up in my Google search.
Oh yeah. I mean, people, they're definitely,
how does that happen?
They're definitely, the phones are listening, everything's listening. But I've said this before. I think there's certainly a place to say like we should be completely free from any kind of privacy invasions. And I totally respect people who are like use VPNs and like don't use social media and try and protect their privacy as much as they can. But also I think that there's a trade-off between convenience and privacy. And I don't think most of the time they care specifically about Orlando, right? Like what they care about is aggregate data. They want to sell you stuff to an extent, but they're not like wondering who you are and what they can use against you in order to like, they just want.
So I shouldn't turn into Ron Swanson and like destroy all my stuff and go into hiding.
But I do think that it's one of those things that it provides convenience overall as the internet, as your personal time on your phone.
Yeah, but that was scary.
It is scary.
Think about it. Like we all were saying, what if they're listening? Because some of the stuff, listening. I mean, I just went to their house and then I ended up getting all these suggestions to have friends like on Facebook that were college friends that I have not heard about in years.
Oh yeah. I mean,
who weren't even there.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying?
It's crazy.
Just because my phone was in a certain location.
In the location, yep. Your ads will change depending on your location. You talk about certain items. You look up an item one time, and then every Facebook ad. And again, they're trying to make it so that your advertising experience is, directly related to things you're interested in, which you can appreciate if all the ads you get aren't relevant at all. But you also got to realize that you're being manipulated. I always tell my students that.
I agree.
Everybody, here's this phrase. Here's the quote of the week. I wasn't even planning on this being the quote of the week, but this works. I always tell my students and even parents when they come in for open house and stuff, I have a theory, and the theory is everyone is trying to convince you of something. Right?
That's
always.
True.
And I mean, I'm doing it. I'm doing it right now, right? Like I got everybody, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's okay. Like what I always try and tell the students though is you need to recognize that people are trying to manipulate you, and then you need to be able to make the decision rationally and critically think through it and say, do I agree with what they're saying? How does this impact me? Does this help me? Does this hurt me? Who benefits from it? And not just be oblivious to the fact that you're being manipulated. Now, is it okay to be manipulated if it makes your life better and it turns out okay in the end? Well, maybe, right? But you need to be able to consciously think about that. So
I like to be manipulated because I want to be manipulated. But I'll never know if I'm being manipulated.
I don't know what you're talking about now. I can't follow that. I'm gonna need to draw that out.
The reason I grabbed my phone is I wanted to share this. I got this message today and I thought it was just hilarious. So this person goes, $38. This deals with tax. Okay, $38 for used shoes. And what's this about taxing used goods? Last time I checked, tax was on new items. Like, wait, is this like? Did you take a time machine? Like, what? Like, was this pre Teddy Roosevelt? Like, I'm not understanding. Like, so if you're not with taxes and you're not understanding that there's sales tax being collected, and you got to get on it, because that'll come back and catch up with you.
I mean, I understand that mindset where people are confused. If it's like, if one item can be taxed like 8 times, right? Like, it comes to a place where it's like, so I understand why people feel like that's double taxation, even though that's not what that means. But like, I know, I mean, because my dad would have said that all the time too. Like, how can I be taxed for this when they've already paid taxes on it? Now I have to pay taxes on it. And then, right. So I could see why people would say used items, right? Like,
but it's one of those things where I'm just like, and I looked at this person's feedback, and they've been buying on eBay for a long time. So maybe in a different state, maybe there is nothing. Maybe just California, it's just, I don't know, it's just different.
But it's nice when customers decide to rant at you through messages.
I almost wanted to say, please contact your local representative, because I have no say in that.
Sign a petition. And while you're at it, sign the petition for National Reseller Day.
There you go.
It's going to be on the ballot next
we need
November.
To make it happen. Hey, the economy is doing well, by the way.
It's booming.
3.2% GDP growth.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things like as a reseller, like, this is good news. I mean, it means people have expendable money, right? Like, this
means there's no better time to do e-commerce than now. And if you're listening to us and you haven't started, now is the time.
Yeah, now's the time for multiple reasons, right? Like,
historically, this shouldn't be happening.
Yeah, we've talked about the doom and gloom multiple times on this. I know, I hate to be that guy, but
I'm not there right now.
Yeah, no, I don't foresee the.
Not that we're economists or anything.
No.
I'm just a historian.
Yeah, I mean, expansions can only last so long, but we're in a good place right now. So I say use it as much as you can, build as much capital as you can, and whenever the next downturn happens, which it will happen, but that doesn't mean that it's unhealthy economy. It's just the way economies work. It's up, down, expansion, restriction. That's just what happens. The next time there's a restriction in the economy, the next time it dips down, use the capital you're building now to increase your capital even more, right? That's
correct.
So yeah, it's good stuff. Economy's doing good, man.
I was excited about that, because I go, could be another good Q4.
Oof. Yeah, if the economy keeps going the way it is right now,
and more knowledge in this
is
Q4
going to be amazing, because people, when people have jobs and there's security and there's a feeling of security, people spend more, right? So if you're making money off of other people spending stuff for Christmas and all that stuff, good for you.
There you go. All right. So back to the seller update. So state sales tax requirement. So in October 2018, they announced that several states passed laws that require eBay and online marketplaces to collect sales tax. So what they said is, we collect, this goes back to your question. In the seller update, eBay said that they will collect the sales tax at checkout and itemize how much tax we collected and remitted in our orders report. The sales tax is collected automatically. There are no fees associated. And then you can go to eBay's tax policy page if you want to learn more. So there you go, Mike.
Cool.
And there's another thing about easier orders. You guys can look that up. I don't think there's much to that. Okay, so this is for Big Baller Mike and his $10,000 transactions.
What?
No, so
I don't remember that.
So the cap now is, if you sell something that's worth, that's more than, I'm trying to find the number. Anyways, the cap is, you can't be charged more than $350 by eBay, a final value fee, if you have an Anchor or Enterprise store. So, it says the final value fee for Anchor and Enterprise stores will not change, but it will for basic and premium eBay stores. Which, unless you're like College Picker with the Levi jacket, except he sold that on Etsy.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I mean, if you're doing those kinds of sales, this probably isn't the podcast for you. You're dealing in a different market.
Keep listening. Keep listening to reminisce these days.
Yeah, and then share your secrets with us.
Yes, but there are sellers like that. I actually know one person that does sell $1,000 items, but not like several $1,000s.
I was going to say $350, 10%. Right, that's what. Yeah, $3,500. So it'd have to be more than that for it to be like, hey, my price
Correct.
is going down.
Correct.
So $5,000
So that's a lot.
item.
Those are huge items that
Yeah.
you're selling. So
It's a big deal.
So, anyways, I say all that because that's a spring seller update. At least that's what's important. Maybe we missed something. If we did, let us know in the comments below. But I think the limited one was more important than the main one.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
But there's two things that I'm still waiting for. You know what those are? There's one we've talked about since like day one. How many unpaid items do you have? Or have you had?
You know what? I have not had unpaid items
Really?
in a long time. I actually totally forgot about unpaid items.
What?
Yeah, I would say probably like 3 or 4 months. I have every item people have paid like right away. There's been a couple of items where it's like I think we've had to send them a reminder like 2 days later, but I haven't had like an item sit for like
man.
8 days. Oh, it's been so nice.
I've had so many. It's not even one day I had like, you know, when you go to check your notification on your phone, like the entire page was unpaid items. Those are the worst.
Oh, that's not good, especially because you should never count your chickens before they hatch, right?
No, agreed.
But man, especially when it's like a good sale and you're like, yeah, it's sold, and then not only is it unpaid, but then you gotta cancel it, and then you gotta relist it with fees.
And your items held up.
Yeah,
That's
it could
the
have
part I
sold
can't stand.
in that time frame.
Like eBay should make it in the next update where that if somebody hasn't paid for an item, that it's still live. And if somebody wants to come in and swoop and pay for it, they can do that.
I don't know about that.
Why?
They should just make it automatic payment. Cause I don't know, cause that would stink if you're like you bought something and you're like sweet and you're in the process of like if it's within a couple hours.
No, they should be like a 6-hour window or something.
Maybe I could see like
a 24-hour window.
48.
Whatever.
Yeah.
48.
Like
that's a lot of time.
You got to give people a chance, man.
Yeah, but it's not like.
What if you're traveling and you're like, oh, my
it's
wallet.
It's not 1991 and you're trying to find your Zach Morris phone, like crying out loud. Like,
I mean,
you can find something anywhere that you can use.
But there was a day when like you had to send checks to people in eBay and they had to cash a check. And then
there was a day. The day is done.
Can you imagine being a resell? Like, I mean, I'm sure that some of our listeners were, but like, I can't imagine like
money orders too.
Waiting for the check, cashing the check. Imagine you don't have a list of unpaid items. You have a list of bounced checks to deal with, right? Like that'd be terrible.
I know some of our listeners have experienced that. And I remember my buddy in college, Stu, that he was waiting for checks in the mail before he could ship things out. So that was back in the day. But again, hey, eBay, if you're listening to us, we would love it if, number one, we could either have automatic payments right away or put a window of time that somebody must pay. And if they don't pay, that item becomes active again until the unpaid item case is closed.
Yeah, or they're if it's not automatic payment, like they still have a time frame that they can pay in. But if they end up never paying for it, they have to pay like a percentage, like a 5% or 10% of the item if they don't ever end up paying for it, like a restocking fee type of a.
No,
right?
like penalize it by no. Yeah. And well, there's other things. Okay, so there's more. That's not the complete seller update. There's other parts about seller protection that there's a little bit more. We got to talk about these.
Is this stuff good? Is it worth talking about?
No, it's Mike's all right. Like, is this worth it? Okay. So I'm just saying this because I'm not understanding why this is in writing. Like this should have been in writing. So one is they're providing greater seller protections, which is great, right? So now there's now a feature where if there's an abusing buyer, you can report them.
Nice.
There's another one that
sometimes I get bullied by my buyers.
I do too. Yeah. It's all good. Whatever.
Yeah.
Maybe they had a rough day.
Report you now.
So they said that this summer we will announce new seller protections based on your track record and how we will protect you when you provide great service to buyers.
Based off your track. I wish that they would give like specifics though, because I feel like when there's not
maybe
specifics,
they will this summer.
Maybe. That'd be nice.
But here's the thing that was interesting. They said we will protect you in other ways too. Removal of negative feedback and defects when you've done your part. What? Like, shouldn't that happen automatically? Like, I'm listening to this and I go, I've already fought this. Like, if I ever get a negative feedback and it had nothing to do with anything I did, like, I'm going to fight till I get it removed.
Yep.
Which I guess it's nice now that it's in writing. Do you get what I'm saying?
Right.
Or they say when things happen that are beyond your control, such as weather or carrier delays. So I think that's good. Now, I do remember that time I told you about that person that said gave me what did they give me? They gave me, this was back in the days when you used to get eBay defects, not negative feedback. There was negative feedback, but you would get defects for item that is described. And the shirt they said was supposed to be short sleeve, but the pictures all showed that they were long sleeve. Like maybe I would have won my case back then. I don't know, but I still thought I should have won that case. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now, managed payments, that's another thing that's continuing to roll out. So PayPal's getting in there, Google Pay, Apple Pay. I just hope that global shipping program will be part of it soon. That's my biggest. I still love global. Have you had some global shipping sales?
Yeah, one of those toy tanks I talked about a couple weeks ago went global, and this other one wasn't global, but I sold one of my DVD VCR players, which by the way I got them all listed.
Nice.
Yeah, but now I got 4 more that I just.
So you haven't listened to our earlier podcast. So a few podcasts ago, Mike had a major inventory stack.
It was a death pile
of VCRs that he had not touched.
It was a project.
I saw you're. So I went and checked out your store, and you're like, boom, boom, boom. I'm like, Mike's on a roll here.
Oh yeah, man. I did.
You had like the video of it working.
Yep,
like it was all there.
Well, what I did is I set up a little station in my kitchen with a little TV that I had bought just for this purpose, and I tested every VCR and DVD VCR player combo that I had, and took pictures of it playing, and then took pictures of it without, in the little light box, and listed them all at the same time within a couple of days. And I've sold almost half of them that I've listed within a week. So I've just been sitting on money. But anyways, one of them.
No, but don't just pass it. That's a big deal.
It's a big deal. Yeah.
Like that's money that you could have used already to invest in more capital.
Yeah. Don't remind me of that.
Okay.
All right. But one of them was a drop shipper that they were very obvious. And the first couple of messages I got from them were really rude after they bought and paid for it, which was like, have you actually tested this? And then I'm like, yeah, look at the pictures. And then they're like, well, have you tested this? And they're all these things. And I was going to respond. And then their response back was, and can you send this out today? I've promised my buyer. And most of my returns that I get are because the VCRs weren't actually tested correctly, all this stuff. And they're like, please don't put a packing slip in. So it was a drop shipper. And I'm thinking like, oh, sweet. Like it works. But in case it didn't, like it's on you. It ain't on me.
Well, but that's okay. Now that we're talking about drop shipping, that's the other thing. They're going after drop shippers some more. So I'm thinking it's funny. You know how our perspective has changed on drop shippers? Mm-hmm. Like I love drop shippers.
Yeah, I love them.
Like buy all the stuff you want from me because once it's sold, it's done.
Yeah, I don't got to deal with it.
And usually they pay full price. Like every once in a while, I get an offer for somebody that does a drop ship, but it's kind of nice.
Yeah.
So but I get it. But eBay is definitely tightening the screws, and drop shipping is getting even harder. So that's part of the seller update. If you're a drop shipper, I definitely would make sure you read that in the seller update. Yeah. Okay, I think I've covered all the seller updates.
Cool.
As much as possible. All right, so Kohl's is now taking Amazon returns.
Huh, cool. What does that mean?
Okay, so there was kind of like a panic on Instagram that this is going to mean a lot more returns. I don't think it's going to mean a lot more returns because it's just as easy to print a label and go to the UPS store than go to Kohl's.
Oh.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Right. Okay, so you're saying if instead of shipping an item back to Amazon, I could just take it to Kohl's, and then Kohl's will do the return for me?
Correct. And they'll actually pack it for you.
Huh.
And I've had people DM me saying that they'll give you like a certain percentage off on a Kohl's purchase.
Interesting.
I think Kohl's just trying to stay alive. Think about the genius in Kohl's.
Like it just gets people in their doors?
Gets people in their doors, right? Because think about it, like if
you're handing them money that they can go spend in your store?
Correct. And if I was Kohl's, I would put the Amazon return station in the back of the store.
They got to walk past all of the sales that they're doing to get to it.
And
I know people who are like Kohl's diehards that are like, they get the Kohl's cash, and I don't even know how they stay open anyways, because everybody that I know that shops at Kohl's, like they end up showing me like, yeah, I got this, and this, and they paid me $5 because I had so much like Kohl's cash and coupons and friends and family and like all these sales. And I'm like, wow, man. That's crazy.
That's crazy. But it's one of those things where I don't know. I think returns is a fact of life. Like I think the days where you could sell on eBay and not do you offer returns before I move on?
No, and that's the thing is I went through and I'm a top rated seller.
Okay.
And then I just noticed that you can be so I was confused on this. You can be a top rated seller. It just doesn't have the icon on an item unless you offer free returns.
Top rated seller plus.
Right.
So plus is on the items. Top rate is
right.
different. Do you know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah. So I didn't realize that was the thing. So, so I went through and I put some of my items on next business day or one day. Most of my items are one day already, but I did free shipping or free returns on a handful of items just to test it out to see if there was any benefit to that. And then the free shipping to get the fast and free with the one day business, just to kind of, do a little bit of testing. But I don't do free returns still. I don't do it. I don't know. I mean, it scares me. People are too shady to me.
But my return percentage hasn't gone up any higher. Like I've always stuck like 2 to 3%. And when I've done free returns, I want to say maybe a year, and it has not changed.
Just seems like 30 days is so long for like somebody to decide, like, for whatever reason.
I think they're going to go to 90 days one day on eBay, and Amazon's already 90 days. So.
I mean, people can just like, yeah, I want those ski boots, and they go skiing for the season, and then they return it, and it's like, didn't like these, didn't fit right.
No, I get that, but again, you know what happens with returns? You get it back, you relist it, and you probably sell it for
but you
more.
have to pay for the return shipping.
I know, so I end up bumping the price for the return shipping, and I usually make that money back. Seriously, that's how I deal with it. Now, another way you could deal with it is add another $1 to like your handling time. Right? I mean, somewhere in there, there's a way to work around it. Just something to think about.
Add $1 to your handling time? What does that mean?
So there's shipping and handling. Remember back in the day when you would order something on TV?
There's shipping and handling?
Yeah. So right now, most of us just charge shipping. You can also charge handling on eBay. So just add $1 to the handling.
But if you're the only, when I'm shopping on eBay, I don't ever see people. I don't know. I feel like people want to buy stuff with free shipping or the cheapest shipping.
I agree.
They're not going to want to buy something with handling too. So I feel like your sales would go down in order for you to potentially recoup return.
I don't know. Yeah, you're right. I don't know the exact numbers. I know.
Do you do that?
I don't. I know some resellers that do though. This is funny because if people buy from me, they can be like, I can return it to Orlando. Give me all my money back. It's free all the way. Like if you return something to me, I'll also charge you. I'll also give you back your original shipping.
That's crazy. Are you required to do that?
Not if it's something that like didn't fit. If it's something where you messed up, you are. If it's something where like they didn't take measurements or it didn't fit or they had buyer's remorse, no. But the reason I do it is like I, as the customer, when I buy something from Target, like I would hate it if Target wouldn't refund me, what I paid for shipping. Do you get what I'm saying? Or
yeah,
if from Target, and again, I'm probably not the norm, but I'm telling you, like returns, we've had it for a long time as resellers and I know this is going to be very unpopular, but we've had it good for a long time. And we're kind of like behind, all the major retailers. And in time for us to be competitive, I think we're going to have to be there.
I just feel like eBay is one of those things, like when I go to a garage sale and I buy something, or I go to a thrift store and I buy something, I know it's a gamble, right? Like you go home and you try it and you're like, oh man, it didn't work. I've never gone back to someone's house and knocked on their door and like, I want my money back, right? Like you just kind of know.
Agreed.
Like, oh,
but it's on eBay. You want it to work though. Like it better be working if I buy it working.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, it's true.
It's a little different than a garage sale.
Yeah, but garage sales, Craigslist, OfferUp, I feel like all of those things, like it's a gamble, man. When you're buying used stuff, used clothing, like, I mean, I get it if it's like you bought something where they said like, yeah, this computer works, and you get home and like it doesn't turn on, you're like, this doesn't work. Like they lied to you. But if it's, if it's used and like 2 months in, all of a sudden it starts having problems because it's an old computer and you're like, I want to return it. Well, that's not fair. You bought an old computer. Like,
no, I agree. I think, like I said, I think I'm like not the norm. I think I'm kind of out of the norm. For me, I'm kind of a fan of like, hey, customer is always right. Customer, like you serve, because the customer is ultimately the person that's going to be continually coming back and buying from that platform. So I'm just very customer minded. That's just, nice. I don't know how I roll. All right. Let's talk about Amazon suspensions. I want to talk about this for a moment. So have you ever heard me always say like, hey, usually if somebody gets suspended, it's for a reason? Mm-hmm. I'm not 100% sure if I'm like there anymore. Mm. And there's been several resellers lately that have had their accounts suspended. And it hasn't been for no reason, but it's been for kind of like crazy reasons.
Like petty things.
Like really petty. So I'm looking right now at Amazon's page, right? So if I wanted to, right? And I'm like, hey, I want to return this certain item, right? My options are bought by mistake, better price available, missing or broken parts, blah, blah, blah. Thank you, Mike. Mike, if you're listening to the podcast, Mike just adjusted my microphone because apparently I'm not speaking into it.
Yeah, you gotta. The way it works is your mouth has to.
I know. We go through this every other podcast.
Yeah, this is the weekly teach Orlando how to use a microphone.
It's all good. Thank you for listening, by the way. So they can click on inaccurate website description, or they can click on item defective, doesn't work. And it's like, okay, those can be a problem, right? Or they can click on product damage, but shipping box is okay, which that would mean that the item you sent in was already damaged. You know what I'm saying? That it didn't get damaged transit. So we've had sellers, and they've been on Instagram, that number one seller, there was something where like the color of like the makeup palette wasn't the same. Yeah, this was a Solo Bolo Diva. She was sharing her story on Instagram. We met her at the meetup.
Yeah.
And it didn't match up. Like the color wasn't exactly. That's what the buyer said.
Right.
Not that that's how it was. That's what the buyer said. And so they must have clicked on inaccurate website description or something. And there was an infringement claim, and account got suspended. So it went from the listing got suspended to the account got suspended, and then Amazon held the money. So she had about like $10K that was being withheld from her.
Oh.
Okay. So if this is your full-time gig, like that's a big deal,
brutal.
right? I'm looking right now. All I have to do.
That's like getting a pink slip at work.
Yeah. Yeah. And you never know like when you can get another job, right?
Yeah,
kind of deal.
And I don't know if is there unemployment when Amazon suspends you permanently?
No, there isn't. Now, she was able to get reinstated. She had to hire some people. I mean, it was a process. And Amazon, they are the worst in getting back to you. Like, I feel like the bigger the trauma, the worse they are about getting back to you. Yeah. So if it's like you're a customer, something didn't work, you call, they'll get a hold of you. If you're a seller and you have an A to Z claim, or you're suspended, like they just start ignoring you. I've had it myself where I was almost suspended last year. This is what happened. I had a used translator. I sent it. The person said it didn't work, said it was defective, and it was the only merchant fulfilled sale I had. Well, my health score went way down on my Amazon metrics, and it said you're in danger of being suspended. One sale. Even though I had hundreds of thousands of Amazon sales on FBA, one merchant fulfilled sale almost got me suspended. So
yeah, that's
you should still do Amazon terrible. Though, Mike.
Man,
you should still do Amazon. I'm not saying now. I've had other people where like, they for instance, they send in items, the buyer clicked on product damage but shipping box okay, and then Amazon suspends the listing because they need to investigate. Or I've had another one. I'll give you another example. I had one time where I sent in an item, and it was like this thing where it was like 12 doll outfits. And so the quantity said 12 doll outfits. The person thought they were going to be sent 12 dolls. And so they made a claim, and I got a negative feedback, and there was nothing. And then I said, listen, you can validate this by just looking at the listing and looking at the pictures. He said, well, unfortunately, there's no more inventory of this item in stock, so we can't validate anything.
Yeah, Amazon is weird. I feel like, I appreciate that they care about their buyers so much, but I think I've mentioned on the podcast before, like there's been, for whatever reason, like 5 times boxes have come to our house for something, and we've called Amazon and said like, hey, this is the wrong address. We don't even know where this address is. We don't want to drive around and find it. Like, can you just come back and pick up the item? And they're like, no, they'll call us when they don't get it, and we'll just send them another one. You guys can keep that one. And we're like, what? That's like, you don't like want these items back? Like, and so like, we're like, well, I guess we get free items, and we open up the box and it's like stuff we don't really want anyways. And it's like, why can't it be like something cool? Like I don't know, laptop or something. But yeah, like they just immediately like, well, what's the tracking number? We give it to them. They're like, yeah, we don't know. We'll just keep it. What?
I know.
What? Like if I was the seller, like imagine that they make the complaint and they're like, never got the item. It's like, well, your account's suspended.
No, I've had returns this last week where it's like a fulfillment promise not met. So Amazon didn't deliver in time and I had to eat the refund. Right? It's just, so anyways, so there's some movement happening amongst the Amazon FBA community, hoping there's been talk about a petition or somehow getting Amazon, and which I struggle because Amazon is such a beast, and Amazon, I really think they're not, I mean, they really care for third-party sellers because obviously, like we shared, they're like 58% of the reselling market for Amazon. But man, these buttons need to be removed. There shouldn't be anything that says inaccurate website description or, some of the other, item defective. I guess you could put that or it doesn't work. But there's some items on here that, like, that's a lot of power to put in the hands of a buyer. And to be able to let Amazon take that feedback and suspend people. And there have been multiple people, and I'm not just sharing the story because of one or two. I'm talking about multiple over the last 6 months. I just don't talk about it too much because I'm like I said, I'm like kind of skeptical. Okay, maybe there's more to the story. I'm telling you, I'm not sure there's more to the story. I think some of these suspensions have just been little things that like has happened to me and people have been suspended. So just be aware. Amazon's still an amazing platform. I'm making a lot of money on Amazon, but you just got to be careful.
Yeah, diversify.
Diversify, find another platform, have a backup plan, have 6 months of 1 year of savings, whatever it takes to make sure that you're okay financially. So there you go.
Boom.
All right, I was going to talk a little bit. Okay, Amazon sellers, I just want to share this with you. Many of you know this. The Amazon algorithm is strong, right? Do you notice? Have you noticed eBay algorithm, right?
Right. Yeah.
Right. The moment you start listing, like things start selling.
Mm-hmm.
I think Amazon doesn't care about how much money you make, which I already know, but they just want you to sell. So I used to hold out on my prices, and lately, like if things aren't selling, I'll just like lose money on a few items, and then I'll start selling a bunch of other items that I'm gonna make money on. But it's crazy. Like it's somehow like it wants you to sell everything as fast as possible.
Yeah, because they get paid per item, right?
I know, but they would get paid more per item. I don't know how they do the search results, but whatever it is, I have been on fire on Amazon the last month because I'm like, I'm done playing games. Sure, I'll take a loss on these items to sell all these other items for money. And that's the way it's been. And it's not like I've been doing the race to the bottom thing. There are already things that are already at the bottom.
Yeah.
There's things that I've been holding out on going, okay, maybe the price will rebound. It's not going to rebound. So I'm like, I'm just going to sell this. And maybe part of it is since Amazon isn't charging a long-term storage fees anymore for under a year, Amazon just saying, sell your stuff because we don't want to see it in the warehouse anymore.
No.
I don't know. All right.
And they probably like it when you sell at rock bottom because then customers are happy and they...
Yeah, it brings more people into Amazon. Agreed. It is crazy, though. The deals you can find on Amazon. Like, as a seller, I find so much more. I'll scan something. I'm like, I need to get this for my son.
Yeah.
It's so cheap.
It's so much cheaper on Amazon than it is in the store. You're like, oh, it's on clearance. It's like 75% off here in Target. And you look on Amazon and you're like, oh, it's even cheaper on Amazon.
Yeah,
normally.
Seriously. I just bought my son a nice OtterBox screen protector that is like $40 to $50 in the store. It was only $10 on Amazon. Just crazy. All right, College Pickers jacket. You hear what happened?
Did it make it?
It finally made it.
Woo woo. Congratulations. We've been rooting for you.
Eric, okay. It's funny. So I was looking at it. He told me, I think I said this last podcast, episode 22 is when we started talking about it, when we first sourced it.
And we're on episode 47. So that tells you this jacket, man, it's been a thing.
It's been a thing.
We need to make a meme. The Pure Hustle podcast, college picker, denim jacket meme. Something, but will it make it?
But there was such a fiasco. So he had it returned back to him 3 times. And eventually they would figure out. So if you had a chance, check out his YouTube channel. He has a video on there about what all the cost and breakdown was about, how he had it sold, how he ended up having to deal with Etsy and FedEx and UPS and customs, and how his buyer had to be super patient, and it finally got there.
Yeah, watch that video, and then in the comments, make sure to hit the like button on his video, and in the comments, let him know that we sent you over there. Because he's a good guy, and we really appreciate the content he's putting out there.
And Eric, hopefully by the time you hear this episode, because I know he's a little bit behind on the episodes, you're here visiting with us because we want to interview you in the near future.
Would be legit.
I'm looking forward to our interviews coming up in the summer. It'll be good.
We'll be good.
All right, I want to talk about one more thing.
One more thing.
Have you ever
hustles?
have you ever had an item that you felt like sold for like way less than it should have, and you're like, I want to cancel this?
There's been a few times where I'm like, I might have underpriced this. Yeah.
Okay. So at what point, when's your level of like, I'm going to cancel this? Have you reached that level?
No, I think if it would be like if I sold something for like $20 and then come to find out this is like a $3,000 item, I'd take the hit and I'd cancel it.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I mean, oh gosh, I don't know. I'm sure there's a point where I would cancel the order, just out of good faith and be like, oh, this was a mistake. The listing was a mistake, But yeah, I think if it's like a $30 loss or even a $50 loss, it's one of those things. Like I think my reputation as a seller is maybe more important than that one item.
I get it. I just want to throw this out there because I've had a lot of DMs lately, and where people have, if something that is like high price sells within 5 minutes, you probably underpriced it. Right. And have people reach out and say, hey, Orlando, what do you think? Should I cancel the transaction, take the hit? So I just want to throw out some advice. So if it's something that's like a couple $100s, I would say just go ahead and just ship it out. But if it's something that's like, let's say more than $500 that you're losing, then you want to ask to cancel the transaction, but you have to be super careful, right? Because legally, it's a binding contract.
No, that's bogus. It's bogus, and here's why it's bogus.
Whoa! No, it is.
No, there's not. It's not. No, there's not. But it's wrong. I'm telling you, it's not because I bought on, and because I looked up the laws. I looked up the laws on this.
You did? Okay. All right. This is good.
So
came out of nowhere.
I bought a piece of furniture when my son was going to be born, and we were going to buy this nice dresser for him. We bought it from, I can't remember what the website was. Some website that does, or they do furniture for pretty cheap. Wayfair, maybe. I don't know. It's one of those. Anyways, so we buy this dresser. I think we paid like $300 for it. And it was supposed to be delivered to our house within like a week. Well, the week goes by, and then we got the thing saying it was in transit, and then all of a sudden it was like not in transit anymore, and then it was canceled, and they called us and they said like, yeah, we made a mistake, and the dresser that we sold you is actually like a $3,000 dresser, and we messed up, and so we can't sell it to you. And I said, no, like we bought it, we paid for it, you took the money out of our account, right? Like the money is no longer in our account, like it's sold, and they nope until they ship it, and technically because it was a pending order, like how the credit cards will take the money out and it's pending for a little bit. Well,
I've had that on eBay with like super hot items that sell, or like Supreme drops.
Right. So anyways, I looked it up and I was like, no, you can't do this. Like that's against the law. Like you've already sold us this item. You have it. Like you have to send it to us. This is the contract. And they like told us like they couldn't do it. And so like I looked up all the laws, and sure enough, like until they actually give it to us and the transaction is complete, like it's not binding.
Okay. Well, let me refer you to a case, now that we're lawyers, from back in March. Okay, so in Arizona Court of Appeals, this is from the New York Post. The title is called "Women Must Pay for Canceled eBay Diamond Ring Sale." Okay, so the Arizona Court of Appeals says a Phoenix woman must pay for backing out of an agreement to sell her diamond ring through eBay. Court documents say Julie Rohr put her 10-carat diamond ring for sale on eBay for $100,000 in 2014, and somebody bought it with the buy it now option. The records say Rohr later canceled the agreement and she was offered a higher bid. Amiro sued for the breach of contract. The court, in an opinion filed Thursday, said Rohr breached a valid contract when she changed her mind on the deal. The 3-judge panel upheld the lower court ruling by deciding that the buy now option amounted to a contract between seller and buyer. The high court also validated an award of $135,250 to Amiros. He did not get the ring. So, by that court case, it's a binding contract. Now, is that going to happen with an item that's several $100s? Probably not.
No.
Okay. But I'm throwing it out there. Just, you got to be careful, right? So, you got, your wording has to be careful. Like, I usually, if I ever have to do that, which I've only had to do it like 2 or 3 times, I'll say, I'm sorry, unfortunately, the item is unavailable. Would you like me to cancel the transaction? And, most of the time they'll say yes, right? But if it's a hot item, you might not get that yes, and you might just have to hit cancel, and you may get a negative feedback. So Just something to think about.
Oof, a negative feedback. It better be worth a lot of money because I don't want one.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, you gotta weigh your options, right? And maybe Mike is right. Maybe I'm right. Don't know, right? Obviously, $100,000. There's a lot more at stake on that. I feel terrible that happened to you. Like, that's messed up.
It was really messed up. In fact, I probably spent hours on the phone arguing with them, and finally, what they did is they sold us another dresser that was within like, it was a couple $100 more than we spent, but it was obviously significantly cheaper than the mistake they made. But they're like, yeah, we mistakenly put up this listing for the wrong price. So, yeah, so we got a good dresser. We like the dresser we got, but it was not like, we were like, wow, this is a really nice dresser for only like $300. Well, it was because it was like 10 times that price in real life.
But I had actually our friend Kyle. He bought like some hunting pants on I forgot some platform, and they were like $500 pants, and it was a misprice. He got them for like $25, and then he resold them.
Nice,
right? So I don't know if Kyle wanted me sharing that, but I think we're okay. Anyways, that happens. So, anyways, I think it's a binding contract that once something is sold or once the offer is out there, like you have no options. So, anyways, throw that out there.
Yeah.
Okay.
There you go.
All right.
Hustles of the week.
Hustles
bing, bing.
of the week.
All right, I got one here. This one is from Jack. His Instagram handle is Jack of All Treasures, which is an awesome name. So he's picks up a cowboy hat at a bin, and it was like 25 to 50 cents in the bin. And he was looking it up, and he's trying to research to see how much it was worth. And he was like, you know what? I'm not going to spend a ton of time researching it and trying to figure out what it's worth because it's cheap. Worst case scenario, I can give this hat to my son. Right? So he buys it. And he's spending time trying to research it, can't find it, lets it sit for 2 months in his inventory reserve, right? A couple months, it's sitting there, and he finally lists it, decides to list high, throws it up for $300, best offer, finds out it's a 1920s Stetson hat and sold it for $200.
Love those Stetson hats.
From like 50 cents to 200?
No, that's a hustle.
That's a hustle.
Have you ever come across a Stetson hat?
I don't even know. I wouldn't even know what to look for. I have not sold a single or even looked at cowboy hats. It's not something.
You should. And obviously it'll say Stetson, but if it says like a certain number of X's, like 5X, or it says Beaver or whatever, Felt or whatever, like they're usually money. So that's BOLO.
Good job. That's good stuff.
No, really appreciate that, Jack, because that's one of the things we haven't talked about cowboy hats at all. But we have talked plenty about, hey, if you find an item, list high because you just don't know. And there you go. So thanks so much, Jack of All Treasures on Instagram, for sharing that story with us. All right. So I wanted to share this because, we've talked about Disney. Well, we've talked a lot about a plush, but there's some Disney stuff out there that's money. And this was just, nothing that anyone couldn't do on a normal day. So Rebecca, IG handle, it's CANTHAVENICE Things Vintage. Okay, so with an A, Venice Things Vintage, came across a Disney item at a thrift store. Now, she had worked at a thrift store before and had talked about, it's funny, we've been talking about thrift stores, that what happens when the store ends up having higher prices, they get overstock and then they have a problem because resellers stop showing up. Right? And we haven't seen that happen in San Diego, but I'm betting that's going to happen soon. Yeah. At least it should. I mean, the prices are outrageous, but we talked about that in the previous podcast. So, does some research. We always talk about do your research. Does some research and finds out that there's this Little Mermaid musical box, right? And these are the kind of things like I look and they look chintzy and I wouldn't pick up. Do you know what I'm talking about? Like those like snow globe, Disney snow globes. Like I used to pick them up back in the day, but man, there's not a lot of money in them. Well, decided to pick this one up, did the research, and flipped it for $200. So Little Mermaid musical box. I probably wouldn't have liked twice-sided. It probably was somewhere in the toy section. You know what I mean? Like amongst the toys. And I just struggle. I'm not a big fan of, what do you call them? What is that? Knickknacks?
Yeah, knickknacks. I think it's because there's so many knickknacks that are
it's just overwhelming.
That to try and learn what's worthwhile it'd be like relearning how to walk. Well, you know what I mean? Like your reselling career, like you kind of have to like learn all how to take the steps in the what to buy, what not to buy. You spend a lot of time and you get into the groove of what works and what doesn't work. And I feel like if you're in the knickknack market, you probably feel the same way about other things, right? But for us to jump into that, and I've sold quite a few knickknacks and done well on it. But yeah, it's like you just look, and in thrift stores, there's like walls of like cups and glasses and like little figurines, and you're just like,
oh, I know.
If I were to scan every figurine and try and research the ones that, what is this name? But I mean, you could probably get to a point where you know them.
But we've had some hustle of the week that have been some outrageous, like, like the bobbleheads. Remember the bobblehead hustle of the week?
Mm-hmm.
So you just never know. But you got to do the research.
Good stuff.
All right, this next one I'm really pumped about.
Yeah, this one's good. So this is Sheila. Instagram handle is Sasha HX. So buys a rescue box of jewelry on a particular website. So this is kind of like a mystery box, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you're just gonna get a bunch of stuff. So pays $34 for it. It's 30 pieces of jewelry, and inside this box there's some designer earrings, right? Which again I wouldn't know what to do with. So
have you seen those? Like it's so hard to even know what the heck's in there.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, every time I see jewelry at garage sales, I just walk right by it because I'm like, I don't know.
Even at thrift store now, have you seen Goodwill's doing it lately? They have like these junk jars, and I'm pretty sure they pick it over before they put it together. But you just never know.
You never know,
right? Maybe this was something this is obviously from another platform, so somebody looked over the stuff that was in there
and missed these designer earrings. So goes to a jeweler. The jeweler confirms they're real. And this is like a legit jeweler.
Yeah.
I mean, has clients such as Liz Taylor, Jackie Kennedy, like some serious clients. Like this jeweler knows what they're talking about. So contacted, is it Christie's Auction House?
Correct.
And they estimated that it would potentially go between $4,000 to $6,000 at auction. Of course, those numbers could always be a little bit inflated.
Yeah.
You never know for sure. But insurance praised it at $10,000. The real estimate was $4,000 to $7,000. And so they are David Webb designer earrings and going to auction in September. So we're looking anywhere from $4,000 to $10,000, from $34.
That's why I love doing this.
That's crazy.
It is the modern day treasure hunt.
Yeah. That's being a professional treasure hunter right there.
Seriously,
That's
Sheila,
real.
that's legit.
That's
I mean, that is so awesome. And it's funny because she had different auction houses, and she goes, "How many times can you say I sold something at Christie's auction house?" You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that's Sheila, and it's Sasha, SHASHAHX on Instagram. So, wow, I can't wait. Please keep us posted. Love to hear what happens, because I'm always interested, right? There's like the 30% like fee, and then there's the buyer premium. There's all these like fees attached to an auction house. So, anyways, hey, thank you all for sharing. Some of these we found through hashtagging Hustle the Week. Some of these we found through you directly messaging us on the DMs or sending us, a Gmail. But hey, the best way is always to hashtag us Hustle the Week and tag us Pure Hustle Podcast on Instagram or Twitter or Facebook so we can find your Hustle of the Week.
Yep. And then have all your friends like it and like comment on it too, so it's easier for us to find it. Like just get it out there. Share with the world what you're hustling.
There you go.
Speaking of which, what was your hustle this week?
So I wanted to share an older hustle of the week just because it's finally done. No, it's done. So Amazon hustle of the week, I can't share it till like it's done.
All right.
It's the retail. So I don't know. I hope I didn't share this. Maybe I did. So I want to say it was summer. It was probably summer. I go to a BOLOs outlet, and I have no problem sharing this because BOLOs outlet isn't a retail store that you're going to go in and you're going to find deals all the time. It's super, like, I've maybe twice in the entire 3 years of going there to see if there's anything to buy, have I walked away with something. So one day they were in there and they were selling Bose Solo 5 soundbars for $75 each. Okay, now these are refurbished, but they're refurbished by Bose, right? So it's kind of like you can sell it like new. Right?
Manufacturer refurbished.
Yeah, manufacturer refurbished. And, I bought one for myself. I should have hooked you up. I'm sorry. But I hooked up my other friend with one just because.
Now I know where I rank on the friends list.
No, it's just because he always hooks me up. Like, we have this ongoing thing, right? So I knew, okay, what happened with the soundbar? Like, it got messed up. It got destroyed. So I knew he needed a sound. Well, you don't need a soundbar, but I thought it'd be a nice gesture.
That is nice. I don't need a soundbar, so I'm not hurt at all. Don't worry.
He is an audio guy anyways. So I picked up 15 of these at $75 a piece. Well, on Amazon, so if you go to Walmart, I think they're like $200 something each. Well, on Amazon, at the height of Q4, I was selling each of these for $225. and I actually got scammed out of one of them. So I bought 15. One of them I got scammed. I showed this on IG. Somebody returned it. I didn't get it from Amazon until a month later, and they sent in a junk soundbar. And the sad thing about it is I was so busy with Q4 that I never followed up on it. And by the time I wanted to follow up, I'm like, it's too late already.
You know, I saw a meme the other day, and it said it was a picture of a shopping cart in the middle of like a lot, parking lot, right? And the meme said, "I've never met a successful person that leaves their cart in the middle of the lot," right? It's kind of funny. It was just like,
Okay.
you know, like, and I kind of feel like the same thing. Like, whoever it is out there that decided that they were going to take some junky bar and return it in order to scam you of your money, they're just not going to be successful in life. I've never met a successful person who does those types of things. So you know what?
That's such a good point.
There you go.
As I have a friend I haven't talked to in a long time, but he was a scammer since high school, and he's still scamming to this day. And yeah, it's still like life is rough.
Life's rough, man. Dude,
So
you're not going to go far in life.
Now I get it. If you do everything right, you're still bound to have a messed up life.
Yeah, there's bad things happen, but there's certainly if you live that type of lifestyle,
Chances are higher.
Yeah, I could pretty much guarantee I know how your life is going to turn out. And
Well, at least
it's not great, and I would never trade places with you. So good luck with your soundbar, bud.
It's funny because maybe we sleep better believing that.
Oh no, it's true for sure.
Maybe their life turned out all right.
If they do that, then that means they do that in other areas of their life. And I'm sorry, people catch on. Like you cannot hold down a decent career and decent relationships with people if you're just that kind of person. I'm sorry, you can't.
Okay, all right. I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay. So, anyways, made a decent profit. You know, think about it: 15 sound bars, 14 of them sold at $225. You take out the eBay fees, at the bare minimum, $100 a piece. So we're talking about $1,400 profit. So that was definitely my hustle of the year, but it's not a big deal. It's just finally talked about it. So
Nice.
So I loved it's a retail arbitrage hustle. We haven't talked about one in a while.
That's
So
good.
what about you? I know yours. I can't wait.
Yeah,
I don't know all the details.
Yeah, I texted this one to you the other day just because I was so excited about it. So a couple weeks ago, I was at a garage sale. Finally garage sale season picking up for me. Finally getting some good deals. And this is one where this is now my second time going to this community sale, which is kind of weird. Like I'm starting to feel like a veteran, right? Because I'm like recognizing the neighborhood, picker. And I'm recognizing. Yeah, I'm a good picker. You know,
he is recognizing the streets.
Me. And I you know how sometimes you do the drive by, right? Like you stop, especially when it's like busy and there's like you're trying to get. So like you stop the ones that you know are good, and some of them, if it's late in the day and you know all the good stuff's probably been picked through, you don't mind stopping at all of them, right? Because it's like maybe there's a gym, but when it's like early still and you're trying to get. And there's ones that it's just like kind of looks chintzy. You're kind of like, oh, I got to get up there where there's all this stuff, right? I decided to stop at this one that looks a little chintzy. It's just like one table of like just a few things on it. And so I'm like, all right, here we go. So I stop real quick and I run and I see that there's a calculator and there's a few other things that I'm looking at. I'm looking up and I see that there's this calculator. It's not a TI-83, right? So I'm like, maybe it's worth something. And it still has its box. It's in the box actually. And the manual,
the TI-83.
No, yeah, the TI-83. No, and that's what I was saying. Like, I know if it's a TI-83, I'm like, I'm probably going to try and pick this up for cheap if I can. It wasn't a TI-83, so I was like, I don't know if this is going to be worth any money. So I look it up, and as I'm looking it up, the guy is like watching me, and he's like, are you looking it up on eBay? I'm going to bet it's like $10 on eBay. And I was like, okay.
That's a good start.
It's a good start, yeah. So I'm like trying to look it up and I'm looking up other things too. And I'm seeing that this calculator is going for like over 100. Like there's some sold for like 150. I'm like, all right. So I asked him, I'm like, well, how much for this calculator? And he's like, well, it's on the $5 table, isn't it? And I look down and there's like on this table.
Like rude like that?
Yeah.
Like it's on the $5 table. Can't you see?
I mean, it was less like in your face rude and more just kind of like, come on,
$5 table.
It's on the, what do you think? It's on the $5 table. And because there's like on this one long table, there's like a little sticker that says $5, a little sticker that says $3, a little 2, a little 1. And then I was like, okay. And so because he said that to me and because I wanted to practice my negotiating skills, I was like, would you take 3 for this? He wouldn't do it. It was the $5 table. It was going for 5. And I knew it was worth it. So I bought it. Get home. I got so much good stuff that day. Like I need to make a haul video. I got so much good stuff. But I get home and I look this up and sure enough, there's some of them going for like 150, 190. And then I saw a manual, someone just selling the manual because all the ones I'm seeing sold are just the calculator. I'm seeing, and this is the package, the manual, and the calculator. Yeah. So I'm seeing somebody sold the manual for like $100.
Oh, really?
And I'm like, well,
that's like calculator.
I'm like, if a manual goes for 100 and the calculator, and I'll tell you the name of the calculator right now. It's HP 42S RPN. So you could check them out. Bolo, right? HP calculators, from what I gather, are really expensive.
That is true. I've sold some for over $100.
And I didn't know that. I talked to my father-in-law, who's an engineer. I told him about this calculator, and he goes, "Oh, is it an HP?" And I said, "Yeah." I said, "Yeah, I took out a loan from my father-in-law when I was in college to buy one so that I could use in college." So back in the day, man, it was the thing to get. So anyways, I'm like, okay, well, if the calculator itself sells for like 150 to maybe close to 200, and the manual goes for 100, I'm like, I can get like 250 for this. I'm like, I'm going high. So I put it up for 400.
Nice.
2 days later, sell it for $375.
That is
$5 to $375. So Mr. $5 table, thank you for the sale. You were wrong with your bet that it was going for $10 on eBay. It was going for $375.
I'm just in shock.
Yeah.
I think that is the biggest hustle we've had this year.
Yeah. Well, at least our listeners have obviously had better ones, but for me, like
for us,
yeah,
like I've had big sales, but I've had to pay up for those sales.
Yeah.
I've had the $5 truck to $175.
Right. Threes. It felt so good. Well, and it felt so good too because I went and I replenished my my garage sale money this week for the garage sales. And I'm like counting out all the money and I'm like, all right, like all my little denominations. I'm like, all right, I've got like however much money is close to a little over 300. I'm like, if I think about it, all of this money is literally that one calculator. So everything I buy today, if I spend every penny that I have, was just from that one calculator.
Yeah, you just reinvested.
Such a good feeling, man.
Wow.
So good. What about you?
No, I'm still in awe. Like that's again, we keep talking about why we love reselling. That is it. Like that's why I love garage sales. That's why I love selling on eBay. It's just like you just never know.
Those big ticket items, they come and go. You're gonna get them several times throughout the year. And then you get your bread and butter items. But when you kind of just look at those as like a bonus to just like it's kind of like an injection of adrenaline into your business, right? It's just like boom, here you go.
And then you have no problem going to the next garage sale.
Yeah, it just feels good. It's real good.
It is
especially
time.
Especially when you're counting in your car. Like I'm driving home and I'm like, I'm like, I've got all of these items. And I'm trying to remember what I bought. And I'm like, all right, I'm gonna make like $200 on this and $100 on this. I'm just like smiling and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so good.
I know. I've been there, and it's and it's one of those things where like it's like the truck, or like that one you knew, but you didn't know 375.
No. I thought I was gonna make like. In my mind, I was going to be able to sell it for 150. By the time eBay fees and shipping, I'm like, I'm probably going to make like, net $100 on this item, maybe a little more. Like, that's pretty good. Like, this is awesome off one purchase. $375.
Nice. Congrats, man.
Thank you.
That's awesome. All right, BOLO time.
BOLO?
So I'm going to share this BOLO, and it's a pretty well-known BOLO, but some of you haven't heard. I wanted to talk about clogs. And it's not just Dansko, but Dansko, you know about Dansko, right?
Nope.
Oh, you don't? Okay. So Dansko are usually like nursing shoes. Sometimes they're all black. They're clogs. And sometimes they have like, the more interesting the design, the more they can go for. But man, I have not been able to hold on to Danskos. Like they'll sell and I will price them high. And I actually came across at a garage sale a few weeks ago, 3 pairs of Danskos in box. They weren't new, but they were well taken care of. And they weren't clogs. They were just Dansko shoes. And I've already sold 2 out of the 3 for good money. And one of them was so desired that I listed it as the wrong shoe and the wrong color, and somebody still bought it. And then I told them that it was the wrong design and the wrong color. They're like, no, I still want them. And it was no big deal. So keep an eye for Dansko. I would say keep an eye for the work shoe looking thing. So nurses use them and other professions, but the better the design, I definitely would pick them up. I don't know what's going on with that market. The market ebbs and flows. Like a year ago, people were backing away, but now when I was in Wisconsin, one of my friends, she picks them up all the time and sells them on Facebook Marketplace, and she can't hold them longer than a day.
Wow. I've never even looked for them. Now I know. Now I know to look.
Yeah, you can't. Once you find your first pair, you'll know what they look like. Yeah, it'll be good. So that is my bolo. I know I'm not going to kill the Dansko market because, you still got to get out there. You still got to find them. And hey, make sure you list them high because people will pay that price.
Yep. It's good stuff.
How about you?
This one's a weird one. I mean, I don't know if weird. It's very specific. We've talked a lot about Department 56, right? So we know Christmas items, Department 56, good brand. Found a few of them recently at garage sales, and people have been charging a lot for them. Well, I found this like boxed. It wasn't even a nativity set, but it kind of looked like that. But it was like a Santa Claus like coming in through the chimney type, like almost like you set up all the figurines, village type thing, but big figures. And it was in a box, and I didn't recognize the brand. Maybe you know this brand. But I was like, I normally wouldn't spend time on this kind of stuff because I'm moving so quickly. But I'm like, I'm just going to look this up because it was the first garage sale I was at this morning. So I was there at like 6. She was still setting up. And I look at it, and I look it up, and I didn't find this exact one in the moment that I was researching, but I'm finding a lot of sets going anywhere from like $75 up to like $150. The brand is Grandeur Noel.
Nope.
Yep. So
maybe I've heard about it.
Yeah, Grandeur Noel is the name of the company, and I was able to buy the box after all the figurines here. I didn't even like open them up and check, so they're all bubble wrapped and stuff inside. So I need to check to make sure they're all good.
I'm pretty sure if they bubble wrapped them,
yeah, they're taken care of. You can kind of figure, you could tell people a little bit. So I don't know exactly. I haven't done the research to find this exact one, but like I said, I'm finding sets going anywhere from like $70 to like over $150. I paid $3, and it seems like there's almost all of them are going for high prices. Like if you look at sold for the Grandeur Noel, and they have some nativity sets, they have some like Santa Claus sets, they have some just individual figurines. Even the individual figurines are going for like $30 or $40. So yeah, check it out. Especially as we get closer to Christmas time, people might be selling stuff, or because it's not Christmas time and it's summer, people might be like, yeah. So that's my bolo.
Yeah, that's such a different like Dansko to Grandeur Noel.
Grandeur Noel.
Grandeur Noel.
Grandeur. I don't even know if I'm like really pronouncing that correctly.
Sure. Well, you know what I like about eBay in comparison to Amazon is eBay at least does autocorrect. Amazon does not. Like if you have one letter off, like you're not going to find the item. So anyways, just be aware of that. All right, what are you looking forward to here?
Oh man,
more garage sales?
Well, of course I'm going to be looking forward to garage sales. So but for those of you who've been, following us, you know that we've been talking a lot about me potentially doing the fifth wheel life, and we're still moving forward on that. And I think potentially that this weekend or next weekend we are going to go and actually order our fifth wheel, it's a big deal. It's a big purchase. But right now we've been renting. We've been at our place where we're renting right now for like 5 years, and we did the math, and buying a brand new fifth wheel, which is like super nice, all of the loaded fifth wheel, 2 years of what we pay in rent, like it's 100% paid off.
Wow, that's amazing.
Right? Like just thinking about when I rent, like you don't have anything to show for it, right? So like it's gonna be nice to like have something that's mine, right? Like we own this, plus all of the freedom it's gonna give us with just being able to for my wife to be able to stay home, for us to be able to do more with reselling. I'm gonna be. But right now we spend like at least I spend an hour and she spends an hour driving to drop our son off at daycare. So that's going to be 2 hours a day that we're going to have with each other, more than we currently have. And it's going to be huge. So we're just really excited about it. Of course, there's negatives to like downsizing to like the extreme. But we're excited about it. We're ready to do it. It's going to give us more time. Well, my quote of the week was going to be this week, which I didn't end up doing. Double quote of the week. But I think it fits right here with this idea of like having more time with my wife and more time with my son, more time to focus on the things we want to do, like traveling and even reselling. And so this is a quote by a famous Stoic man named Seneca, right? Mm-hmm. And the quote goes like this: "People are frugal in guarding their personal property, but as soon as it comes to squandering time, they're the most wasteful of the one thing in which it is right to be stingy." Right? And good. So it's
really good.
To think like it's so easy to be so concerned about dollars and property, but like time is the one thing that you don't get back. So to be able to have more time with family, and I think that the fifth wheel is going to do that. So it's going to be exciting to buy it, to actually put the money down, because it's like, this is a new chapter of life, man.
I'm excited at this moving forward.
Yeah.
Like that is a big deal. So, and again, it's one of those things where reselling is a lifestyle. So you can either choose to make more money to get those other things, or you could choose to reduce, right, what you're spending to be able to live more.
Yep. And you got to make that decision, what works best for your life.
Agreed. Wow.
What are you looking forward to, man?
So I'm looking forward to more traveling.
Travel, man.
So it's just the same old, but doing some more retail arbitrage. There's one part of the country I plan on doing a lot of retail arbitrage, which I'll be traveling to. So I'm looking forward to that. I probably won't be discussing that probably till like later in the summer, just seeing how things pan out. But it's one of those things that's exciting about being full time is like now I have these options, right? I'm not at work going, oh, I can't wait to get off of work so I can go take care of this.
Yeah.
And I get it. Those of you that are still working for a regular full-time job, like that's tough. But if you love what you're doing, keep doing it. I will tell you, there's kind of this thing where I do miss some of the security of that, right? But I do miss this opportunity to be able to do these things. One of the biggest questions I got when I went back to see my college friends from 16 years was like, is that tough? Like not knowing that you have a secure paycheck. And yeah, I mean, I did have, a good amount of money saved up, and I had, other income that was kind of taking care of things for a little bit while I went full time. But, it's still one of those things where it's like, okay, can I keep doing this for the next several years, right? And so, I don't know. I'm just excited. We'll see. This will be my first, actually, it'll be a year in a few weeks that I've been a full-time reseller.
It's crazy.
So, and then we hit summer slowdown. So I'm just interested how I'll deal with summer slowdown as a full-time reseller.
Yeah. And last year I didn't really experience that. And I think it was because I was the new seller and eBay was trying to hook me. But what do you think what should I be expecting? What should our listeners be expecting if this is their first time going into summer? What slows down, particularly like how do we navigate these waters that?
Okay. So we're going to have a whole episode about this in a few podcasts from now. But what I will say immediately is you have to, I would say the clothing market, it depends. Like it's hit or miss. I don't think there's an exact science to beat the summer slowdown. It's an overall thing that happens in all retail, right? You go to department stores, they're not making as many sales, right? So, logically that means eBay isn't. So what you have to be able to source is those items that people need year round, or those special unique items that people want to buy. Like that calculator might have been one of them, right? Or that Buddy L truck that I was able to sell for, or whatever it is. Like your bread and butter may not be that bread and butter in June. But I will tell you, different platforms handle things differently. So if you're on Amazon, Prime Day is a big deal. And so for me, Prime Day gets me through that summer slowdown because the amount of sales I make the few days leading up to it and the few days after compensate for those losses. But I will tell you, the number one thing I did that definitely helped me later on was I spent that summer slowdown as an opportunity to source, and to list. And later on, I more than made up for whatever I wasn't able to make in June, in August and September and October.
Yeah. And everybody's style of budgeting is different. And we've mentioned doing, what's the financial piece, the Dave Ramsey and kind of, we've talked about those principles before and we're not experts at anything. Well, maybe in our fields of study. So maybe history and English, we should be close to that. But so I can't give you financial advice, but one of the best things I ever did, and my wife and I ever did, is we were able to get our finances so that we had enough money in savings.
Yep.
We had enough money in savings that we pay everything for the month before. Like at the end of the month, all of our bills, like we just pay everything up front. We pay ourselves. And so we're not living paycheck to paycheck. We have enough money in our savings account that all of our paychecks go into savings. And at the beginning of the month, we know what it costs for us to live that month. And we pay ourselves that. And we just pay everything up front.
I have had to do that as a full-time reseller. Like not only what is my bottom line, but okay, if things go bad, 6 months.
Yeah, you got to have.
Can I take care of my bills?
Yeah, you got to have a certain amount of money saved up too. Like Dave Ramsey would recommend to start off with $1,000 and then like a month, and then trying to build up like 6 months of what it would cost to live, emergency funds. But even if you couldn't do it that way, like if you think of, because oftentimes people think of getting paid, if you're living paycheck to paycheck, and I know there's people out there who are, there was times in my life when I've been there, so I understand how that goes, but it's a terrible, it feels oppressive. Like it feels like you're always like, you're waiting for money to come in. And if you can get to a place where you're paying up front, and part of what frees that up is your thinking. So if you can think of, I get paid X amount a year as opposed to I get paid X amount every 2 weeks, that helps, especially when it comes to something like summer slowdown. So if you're dealing with 2 months out of the year where your sales are half of what they are the rest of the year, but then a few months later it picks up and it covers that, your total yearly salary is going to be the thing you're budgeting off of. So, depending on where you're at, you may or may not be able to make this work right away. But, we're definitely big fans of the Dave Ramsey principle. Try and maybe look up some of his stuff, but save up some money, try and pay yourself up front, and try and realize that it's okay if there's a slow month, because there's going to be a month that picks up and covers that. You just got to budget accordingly.
Some good advice. That's advice I wish I had in my 20s.
Isn't it? Right? Like that's the stuff, I'd say that's stuff they should teach in schools. Like the nice thing is our school actually teaches a financial peace class.
It is true.
So.
I started that program.
Did you? Good for you.
But I'm not there anymore.
Yeah, well, that's all right.
But anyway,
it lives on.
It lives on. I'm glad. And there's going to be, what was awesome was at one point I was going into that class and teaching how to resell.
That's so crazy.
That was pretty awesome. So, hey, with all that being said, thanks for joining us. Make sure to keep being, I'm messing up this ending.
You messing up our own logo, our own slogan? What's up with that, man?
Make sure to be real.
Be relevant.
And be reselling. Peace.